Hello everyone, Theodore Burns here for week 10 of the IndyPro2000 lap walkthrough series. This week we are at Long Beach Street Circuit. This is a pretty fun one. I ran in the normal conditions, 21, 22C, 25% usage. Setup, I'm feeling pretty good about this one. It's high downforce. I think it's really consistent. I think you guys will be able to push, and it'll be hard to get it out of shape. Ran a couple laps this week. Got down to a 15.040 on lap 6. I was hunting for a 14. Definitely could have. These are from an old season. Optimal was down there like a 14.9 something, so I was hoping for under 15, but I think this lap will do. So without further ado, here is the hot lap around Long Beach. All right, so there we have that lap. So wanted to start off just a couple general notes on racing street circuits, like tips, so forth. Biggest thing is obviously we have walls lining the track, especially right on track exits. There's nowhere we have to go on exit if we get it just a little bit wrong, carry a little bit too much speed. So because of that, we always want to err just, shy of like a maximum speed rolling into a corner. I want to be slow into all the corners and fast out. I want to make sure that my on throttle point is always the same, whether I'm coming in 20 miles an hour slow, like for whatever reason, or just on a hot lap. I always want to make sure I'm getting on throttle at the same point, and the trajectory of the car, the rotation is correct at all times, so that I never run out of track on exit. And so because of that, I'll give myself a little bit of a buffer, in some of my brake zones. I'm not going to be pushing the brake zones as deep as I possibly can, especially in the race conditions. I'm going to give myself a little bit of a buffer and always have, maybe a quarter to half a car length, that I could go a little bit deeper in the brake zones, just because if I do lock up, I don't want to completely run out of space and, end the race. So I want to make sure I give myself that little bit of a buffer, run a little bit more conservative, set up a little bit more conservative, brake bias, and so forth, just so that I'm never quite right there on that limit, or if I do lose control or the car does snap, I'm in a spot, in a condition where I can catch it without slamming into one of the walls, because that's pretty race ending in an open wheel car like this. So yeah, basically just everything I do, I'm leaving that little extra bit of air, but especially on corner entry, not pushing the entries whatsoever, because if we do miss the apex just a little bit, we will end up slamming into the wall. Okay, so with that, long front straight here at Long Beach, come all the way down to turn 1. So we got to make sure to stay to the left of this double blue line here, because this is the pit exit. If we cross over this line, we will get some sort of a penalty. So coming in, I'm looking at the brake markers up here on the fence. counting down. I think they start up here with the 5 board. I'm looking for the 4, and I'm can brake just at about the 4 board, and then I want to get my eyes straight down to the apex. This is a really heavy brake zone, braking a straight line. The right side tire is right on this pit exit line, but I can roll off and carry quite a bit of speed in. It's still a second gear corner, but I'm still rolling quite a bit of speed into the corner. And as I turn in, pretty standard as I roll off the brakes. And I can eat a little bit of this curb if I want. I'll usually just kind of kiss this with the left side tires, just because if I come a little bit too far up onto it, like completely up onto the sidewalk here, it can kind of lift up the car, and it'll just kind of skirt just a little bit wider on exit, and I won't be able to get in throttle quite as soon. So this is about as much curb as I would take on a normal lap through there. And as soon as I'm on that curb, I can get right back in power, because this wall is going to be coming back at us. I want to make sure that I have very straight hands as soon as I come off of this curb here, just so I don't run out of track too quickly. I can get in power pretty aggressively through there. Doesn't seem to kick the rear end out too much. All right, so that's turn 1. I'll go back through, watch this in real speed from the chase camera for car placement. Okay, so now we're coming up into turns 2, 3, which is around the fountain. Very iconic, corner section here. Basically, my approach into this, I've come right off of the wall from the exit of turn 1, and I want to get the left sides as close to this wall right here as possible. But then, I'm basically aiming for this little path that we can kind of see between where the fountain curb kind of ends over here, where the shrub is, and this wall here. So I'm shooting for this gap right in between. I basically want to align my car off of the exit of turn 1 wall so that I'm shooting this gap straight in there. I don't really have a great brake marker. Basically, once I come off of this wall from turn 1, and I can kind of see into the corner, there is when I'm going to be braking. It's right up around, it's pretty high in 3rd gear through there, but definitely not going to 4th in this section. So really heavy brakes all the way down to 1st gear for the fountain. One of the few tracks where we actually use 1st gear pretty often. So right around there, carry the brake in all the way down till I get right to the fountain is basically where I want to end my brake zone. And what I'm trying to do here is I release with a lot of steering lock in the car, and basically I'm trying to get all of the weight on the nose of the car and kind of rotate the rear end around, because this is kind of like a weird actual circle around to the fountain here. I basically want to drive the car in here, rotate it, and then drive the car out. So I'm trying to like V this off, even though this is a pretty consistent radius around here. So I'm getting the right sides like onto this red and white curbing, just over it, onto the portion right here where it actually slopes up and into the fountain. And I'm going to be keeping this this brake on all the way until I get the car turned here, to just really get this rotation kind of on the nose, and the rear end will kind of skid around on me. And so I start getting in throttle, and I kind of like I kind of use this throttle to almost kind of power slide the rear end of the car around. But as I do this, I really quickly straighten up my hands so that I can kind of stop that rotation. And what ends up happening is the car ends up gripping up right at this point, and I can feel the rear end stop walking around and stop like power sliding, and now I have purely forward traction. And once I get this pure forward traction is when I can ease into that full throttle. So definitely you have to be paying attention to the force feedback here that you can feel to get that kind of rotation, and then feel that slide of the rear of the car out to when you can get in full throttle, because I want to get in the full throttle, drive out, and get as close to this wall right on exit as possible. So that's turns 2, 3 around the fountain. I'll watch this one more time in real speed from the chase camera. All right, next I'm going to play through the next 2 corners. This next section, turns 4 and 5. This will bring us back up onto Shoreline Drive, coming back on the other side of the median. So again, there's not a great brake marker for this corner. So a lot of these are just gonna just have to kind of be feel based on drive out and yeah, our RPMs coming in. So get up near the top of second. Right, basically, I'm going to start braking when the wall. There's almost like a little like kink where the wall comes out here. To the point you have to actually be pretty careful on a qualifying lap that this little bit that sticks out here can like scrape the car and pick up a 0x, which will invalidate your qualifying lap. So you got to be slightly careful of that wall, but that's about where you want to start slowing down. And for this corner, you can carry in significantly more speed than you initially think. I'm just doing a little bit of brake as I turn into the corner, basically to just load the front tires, get them turned in. And similar to turn one, I can ride up onto this red and white curb a little bit. I want to get the right side tires about right where the cursor's going across there, about midway, total of this curb. And as I get onto that curb, I'm feeding in the throttle pretty aggressively. I don't want to get like stab it because it will kind of kick the rear end out because we are kind of still floating across track there. But I want to get in throttle early, get the run up in between turns 4 and 5 right here. So coming up to turn 5, there's quite a bit of uphill here. Up to the actual apex curb, and then it significantly drops off on exit. So we want to make sure that we have all of our rotation done by the time we actually get to this apex, and kind of take advantage of this elevation change here. Because once we get to that apex, the car is going to be very light, and we're kind of flying off, off that ledge and over towards the wall on exit. And we don't want to completely miss this and not get the car rotated, because then we'll go head on into that wall. If we over rotate, we're going to land with the rear ends just coming right around on us. Also not good. So it's really important to get the car slowed enough and to get the rotation before the corner here. Again, not a great brake marker coming up through third gear. But we're going to be coming down to second for the corner, and this is another one where it's a little bit heavier of a brake zone, but I'm getting out of it pretty early, and I'm turning in quite aggressively so that I can get this rotation done by the time I get here to this apex. So you can kind of hit some of these curbs here, at least like with this setup. I can get the right side tires up on these. I don't want to come completely over and get the right side all the way up to like this sausage curb up here, because you will bottom out the car and it will just end up flying straight. But I want to get the right sides just right up onto these, at least kissing them, if not just one tire onto them, probably not entirely onto these curbs here. Once I get there, so now we're starting to have this down slope on exit, and I'm going to get in throttle only about halfway, and I'm going to just kind of hold it here. And basically what this is doing is I'm starting to try and transfer the weight to the rear of the car, and in doing that, because the front of the car, we're driving downhill, I'm trying to squat the rear of the car to get it onto the track to grip faster, and that's basically what this throttle is doing here. I'm also, starting my drive out of the corner down the straight, so I am picking up a little bit of speed, but this is mainly just for the attitude adjustment of the car, and I'm trying to squat the rear of the car to get it down, get it gripped up. And once I start to land right here, you can see it kind of grip up. I'm going to get my hands straight to basically to the point where I can start driving out of the corner just with a little bit of lock. I don't need to keep turning the car, and at that moment is when I'm going to ease into my full throttle so that I can make sure I get the best run out. And I'm just going to kind of let the car naturally track out that little bit and straighten the hands up and drive out down the straight. All right, so one more time, real speed turns 4 and 5 from the chase camera. All right, approach turn 6 now. So this is the pit lane up in front of us. Now we're taking a hard left and driving, now perpendicular to the front straight. Approach into this corner, we have our brake markers up here. I'm driving in till almost the 2 marker. I'd say this is probably like the 225 or so is where I'm braking for this. This is one of those corners where I can end up pushing this brake zone a little bit deeper, and that's because even though it's a left-hand corner, the track on exit is kind of helping us because it is, moving, farther away from the apex on exit. So it's not just a straight 90 through here. It is, quite a bit larger radius, and we have a lot of runoff here. So this exit wall is not, right up on the curb. We have quite a bit of space. So braking at about the 225, it's a pretty heavy brake zone. Going to be coming down into second gear, and I really want to get really tight onto this apex, into this wall. And basically what you have to start experimenting with is I want to basically turn into the wall. As you can see, it looks like I'm going to drive right into this, but I completely missed the wall because I'm just carrying so much speed that's going to push the car right past it. But once I get right down onto this apex wall as close as possible, I'm going to start easing into the power right away, about 50%, but I really have to kind of watch this on exit. So you see I'm going to straighten my hands up, and I'm just waiting for the car to stop kind of this, slide neutral steer. And I can do this and end up really, really wide on exit. And I'm going to start easing into throttle to the point where I'm still kind of power sliding the car. And it's not like until it's about over here that it's like fully, gripped up and I'm back, settled and in control. So it's quite a long corner, and so you want to make sure not to get in throttle too aggressively or too soon because it will kick the rear a little bit. Instead, I want to use just the right amount of throttle to be accelerating with maximum force, but I'm still riding this kind of neutral steer slide out, and that's just so I can carry more speed into and through the corner. And that's the whole reason for that long exit there, is just the amount of speed that I've carried through the apex. So one more time, real speed. All right, coming up, so this is basically kind of turn 7 right here, and then I have turn 8, which is the right-hander coming up ahead, which takes us onto Seaside Way. So I really want to hustle the car back over to the other side of the track. I don't need to do it like super early. I want to make sure that I finish that turn 6, 7 coming tracking out entirely, and then once I do, then I can work it back over, and I want to make sure I'm over here by the time I get to about the 300 board. So similar to last corner, my brake marker for this one's going to be about the 225, maybe a little bit closer to the 200 board, and basically I want to make sure that I'm fully squared up with this wall over here. I don't want to be like driving at the wall when I start braking, because I'm just making the corner tighter. I want to be squared up so I have the best approach possible for it. So you see I'm squared up there, then I hit the brakes at about that, just about 220, 225 to the 200. And this is a little bit of a lighter brake. So we're kind of coming downhill a little bit here, and this is a very, very difficult corner to kind of read and find the apex, because we have this like curbing, we have this like red and white curbing painted all the way down here, and we have this kind of like sausage curb here, and then the wall itself, it's kind of like a chamfer, like right here. It's almost like at an angle. It's kind of like a double apex wall through here, and we have all of these tire barriers here and a really tight wall on exit. So we want to make sure we maximize as late of an apex as possible through here to get to carry the speed. So that's why we're driving what feels like almost a little bit deep, but it's a light and a long brake, so it gives us the ability to adjust and really kind of take our time getting into this corner. Is what's really important, is kind of that patience. And you can see I'm just kind of almost riding, not quite on the brake, not quite on the gas, coming all the way in here. I get to this kind of like secondary apex right around the chamfer there. By the time I get there, I can start to ease into the throttle, but I still have to be careful of the tire barriers here, and the car's going to end up right about where all these marks right here in the cement wall are. And so I want to make sure I'm not staring at the wall, because I want to drive into it. My eyes, I'm looking down the straight, trying to get as center track here as possible. But I'm easing in the throttle until I know that I'm safe of hitting this wall here. And so it's it's really, I don't want to get in throttle too early. I want to make sure I wait until I'm basically at this apex before I tip in. I'm not like driving, accelerating past that apex, just because this wall comes up so quickly on exit, and just try and get as best of a run out down onto Seaside. So with that, watch that one more time in real speed. All right, so there we have, that was turn 8. Coming up turn 9. So end of the back straight. One of the interesting things about the back straight, it is pretty grooved, being the street here, and the wall over here on the left is not very straight. So I am a little ways off, almost like half to a full car width off of the wall there, and I'm kind of driving, straight along this yellow, double yellow line here. And this is going to be kind of my approach for the corner, and this is how I'm actually squared up, is based on this line and off there, so that I can get some a little bit better braking performance for this corner, and be a bit more squared up to actually turn in and not be increasing its radius by driving wide where the wall's kind of bending away there. So brake marker for this one, it's going to be about like the 350, maybe a little bit sooner. 350 is kind of pushing it into here, so maybe somewhere between 350, 400 board. Especially once tires are hot, you can be pushing this that little bit deeper. Again, really heavy brake zone, and, pretty traditional start to turn in, but this whole section here really opens up, and it's kind of hard to find a dedicated apex because this curb here is so long. I can get the right side tires onto these kind of little like rumbles here, because this red and white is just painted flat, but similar to early in the track, I don't want to get too far onto them because it will kind of lift up the car, but I'm going to get the right side tires, just kind of touch them. And I'm shooting for like a pretty late apex. You can see they kind of end, and kind of shoot out into the middle of like nowhere here. So I want to get this late apex and just clip these so I can carry in as much speed as possible, and just be set up for the switch back into 10 and 11 coming up. So I get right down, just touch those, start to ease into throttle, and kind of a similar story here. I can never quite get to full throttle until I've had the car settled and the hands straight on exit. It's one of these, you just have to be really patient of that, just be working getting to that half throttle and then like easing in once you're comfortable with that exit. So drive through there, end up getting to full throttle, ending up about mid-track. Don't want to be all the way over this wall. You can if you need to, but it just sets up your setup for the next couple of corners just a little bit more difficult. So watch this through one more time in real speed. All right, final section on the track, turns 10 and 11 coming into the hairpin. So I am in second gear coming into here. It's not really a great brake marker. I'm not really braking super aggressively, but I'm focusing on trying to get the best run out and just carry my maximum minimum speed through here. So I'm bailing out so I can get down onto, keep it tight onto the curbing here. Similar story with these curbs. I can just touch them, like run the tire over them, but don't want to cut them too much. And I'm trying to keep this as tight as possible, knowing that there's the other corner coming up here. And basically, I'm just using like a little bit of throttle, a little bit of brake. This is just to keep my minimum speed up. And then I'm straight back to a little bit of throttle, a little bit of brake to try and manage the radius that the car is taking. So one more little squirt of throttle here once I know I've gotten the car down. The left side tires are coming right onto this red and white curbing. And so basically it kind of straightens, I want to get the car kind of straightened up a little bit and then turn in to the right. I want to be careful that I know the car is still settled here when I kind of do this transition, and it's kind of like I'm turning to the left, I'm straight, and then I'm turning to the right. I don't want to go, you know, just like flip it, you know, in aggressively, because that's just going to break the tires. Car's going to spin out, and it's going to be a bad time in the hairpin here, because there's nowhere to go for everyone else coming in following you. So once I get the hands back to straight, you see, so I was turning left, get the hands back to straight. I'm kind of set up here in tight left side tires right up onto these curbs. Now I'm going to give this squirt a brake, and this is going to carry me all the way down onto the apex of the hairpin. So I'm back. So I start applying the brakes when the hands are back straight, and then I ease a bit out of the brakes, but I'm still carrying a bit of trail brake, about 15%. And as I do that, then I transition my hands and start turning into the right. And basically, I'm trying to turn into this wall here. You see, I get all the way down to the red and white curbing. I drive right past it, and so now my primary objective is I have to make the turn by this wall here, but I want to get the power down as soon as possible. It's the longest straight, one of the best overtaking opportunities on the track. So you can see once I'm at this point, the car is rotated here. So I'm at the 90, like almost perpendicular when I'm at the wall here. Full opposite lock down in first gear. And as I'm here, because I have this rotation, I'm in a good spot, close to the wall. I'm going to start easing into the power here. I can't get in full power until I've gotten the car totally straight up. So I start to unwind the hands. As I unwind the hands, you can see the power start to get fed in. A little bit too quickly there, so I have to catch it just a little bit, but that's not really hurting my run out. And now that my hands are straight, I'm all the way over here on the left-hand side of the track, ease into that full power, use this entire width all the way up to the wall, drive out all the way down to the line. So watch this back one more time, real speed from the chase camera, turns 10, 11, final section here. And that completes a lap around Long Beach at a 15 flat. So I suspect some of the race times will dip a little bit below that, especially once you get a little bit more comfortable, longer in a run, be down somewhere in the high 14s. It'll probably be where the top guys are running this week. But yeah, if you can get down in the 15s, should be a good week at Long Beach for you. So yeah, as always, let me know if you have any questions on the walkthrough, driving the track, driving the car, on the setups. So you need any tips, find me on the forums, Discord, YouTube, you name it. And I will see you guys out there on track this week. Good luck.